The jungle was like a thick green wall that never ended. Marcus Rivera wiped the sweat from his face for the 100th time that hour. It did not help. The air was so heavy with moisture that breathing felt like drinking hot soup. His uniform stuck to his skin. His boots made sucking sounds in the mud with every step. Marcus was 22 years old. He was a combat medic with the Army. Back home in Texas, his mother kept his picture on the refrigerator. In that picture, he was smiling in his dress uniform. He looked proud. He looked like he knew what he was doing. Right now, walking through this jungle, Marcus did not feel like that person anymore. He carried 45 pounds of medical supplies on his back. Bandages, medicine, IV bags, tourniquets, and dozens of other things that might keep a man alive when bullets started flying. He also carried his rifle. The whole load made his shoulders ache. But complaining was not something medics did. The infantry guys carried even more weight. There were 280 soldiers moving through the jungle that day. 3 companies all spread out in a long line. Marcus was somewhere in the middle with his unit. They had been walking for 6 hours. The mission was supposed to be simple. Intelligence reports said enemy forces were using this valley to move supplies. The American troops were supposed to find the supply routes and shut them down. Marcus had joined the Army 3 years ago. He wanted to be a doctor. His parents had come to America from Mexico with almost nothing. They worked hard jobs and saved every penny. They wanted Marcus to have a better life, but medical school was expensive, very expensive. The Army offered to pay for his education if he served first. It seemed like a good deal. He never imagined it would lead here. To this jungle where everything wanted to kill you. The insects bit through clothing. The plants had thorns that could tear skin. At night you could hear animals moving in the darkness and you never knew if they were dangerous or just curious. And somewhere out there, hidden in all that green, were enemy soldiers who definitely wanted to kill you. The soldier in front of Marcus stopped walking. Everyone stopped. Hand signals moved down the line. Marcus could not see what was happening up front, but he knew the routine. The officers were checking the map, trying to figure out where they were. In the jungle, everything looked the same. You could walk in circles for hours and never know it. Private First Class Danny Hayes stood next to Marcus. Danny was 19 years old. He talked constantly about his girlfriend back home. Her name was Sarah. He showed everyone her picture at least once a day. She had blonde hair and a big smile. Danny said they were going to get married when he got home. He had the ring already picked out. "How much longer do you think?" Danny whispered. Marcus shrugged. "Until we stop, I guess." "My feet are killing me. Everyone's feet are killing them." Danny smiled a little. "Yeah, but mine are killing me worse." That was Danny. Always trying to make jokes even when nothing was funny. Marcus appreciated it. The jokes helped. They made the fear feel smaller. The column started moving again. Boots squelching in mud, equipment rattling softly, radio chatter crackling in short bursts. The jungle pressed in from all sides. Visibility was maybe 10 feet, maybe 15 if you were lucky. Beyond that, everything disappeared into green shadow. Marcus thought about home. His mother made the best tamales in the whole neighborhood. On Sundays, the house would smell like corn and spices. His little sister Maria would complain about having to help in the kitchen, but she never really meant it. His father would watch soccer on television and shout at the screen. Normal things, simple things. Things that felt like they belonged to a different world now. Staff Sergeant Chen was the senior medic in the company. He had been in the Army for 12 years. He had seen combat before. He did not talk about it much, but sometimes Marcus would catch him staring at nothing, his eyes focused on something far away. Something only he could see. Chen had taught Marcus almost everything he knew about combat medicine. How to work fast when your hands were shaking. How to prioritize when multiple people were wounded. How to keep your head clear when everything around you was chaos. Chen was good at his job. Marcus hoped he could be that good someday. The afternoon wore on. The sun moved across the sky, but under the jungle canopy it always felt like twilight. Green light filtered through layers of leaves. Shadows moved and shifted. Every sound seemed amplified. A branch breaking could make your heart race. A bird taking flight could make you reach for your weapon. Around 4 in the afternoon, the word came down the line. They were stopping for the night. The officers were setting up a defensive perimeter. Everyone would take shifts on guard duty. It was standard procedure. You never kept moving after dark in the jungle. That was asking for trouble. Marcus helped set up the company's medical station. It was just a cleared area with some supply crates and a tarp strung between trees. If someone got hurt, they would bring them here. It was not much, but it was better than nothing. Captain Brewster came by while Marcus was organizing supplies. Brewster was 34 years old. He had a wife and 2 kids. He kept their picture in his helmet. He was a good officer. The kind who checked on his men. The kind who remembered their names. "How are we looking, Rivera?" Brewster asked. "Good to go, sir. Got everything set up." Brewster nodded. He looked tired. Everyone looked tired. "Make sure you eat something. Long day tomorrow." "Yes, sir." As evening came, the jungle changed. The sounds shifted. Daytime birds went quiet. Nighttime insects started their chorus. It was so loud it was almost like white noise. Some guys said they could not sleep because of the noise. Marcus had the opposite problem. The noise helped him sleep. It was when things went quiet that he got nervous. He ate an MRE for dinner. Beef stew. It tasted like salty cardboard, but it was calories. That was all that mattered. Danny sat next to him, showing Sarah's picture to anyone who would look. "I am going to take her to this restaurant when I get back," Danny said. "Real fancy place. Italian food. The kind where they put the napkin in your lap for you." "Sounds nice," Marcus said. "You got a girl, Rivera?" Marcus shook his head. "Not really. Dated someone before I deployed, but it did not work out." "That is too bad, man. Everyone needs someone." Maybe Danny was right. But Marcus had a hard time thinking about things like relationships when he was living out of a rucksack in the jungle. It felt like those things belonged to a different version of himself. The version in the photograph on his mother's refrigerator. The veterans in the unit were acting strange. Marcus noticed it as darkness fell. The guys who had been in combat before were too quiet. They checked their weapons more than usual. They looked at the jungle like it was a living thing watching them back. Sergeant First Class Williams had done 2 tours already. He was checking the perimeter when Marcus saw him. Williams stopped and stood perfectly still, just listening. Marcus walked over. "Everything okay, Sergeant?" Williams did not look at him. His eyes scanned the dark spaces between the trees. "Something is not right. What do you mean?" "Too quiet, and not quiet enough at the same time." "Does that make sense?" It did not make sense. But Marcus trusted Williams. If Williams felt something was wrong, something was probably wrong. "What should we do?" Williams finally looked at him. His face was hard to read in the darkness. "Make sure your aid bag is ready, and keep your weapon close." Marcus felt his stomach tighten. "You think something is going to happen?" "In the jungle, something is always going to happen. It is just a matter of when." Marcus went back to the medical station. He went through his supplies one more time. Everything was organized. Everything was ready. He told himself it was just normal preparation, just doing his job. But his hands were shaking slightly as he worked. Chen came by around 8 in the evening. He sat down next to Marcus without saying anything for a long time. Then he spoke quietly. "First time is always the hardest." Marcus looked at him. "First time for what?" "You will know when it happens. Just remember your training. Remember what I taught you. And remember that fear is normal. Everyone is scared. The trick is not letting the fear stop you from doing what needs to be done." Marcus wanted to ask more questions, but Chen stood up and walked away. He moved through the perimeter like a ghost, checking on other soldiers, making sure everyone was ready for whatever tomorrow might bring. The night deepened. Stars appeared in the gaps between tree branches. Someone started a small fire, but an officer made them put it out. "Light discipline," he said. "Cannot give away our position." Marcus took first watch from 9 to 11. He sat in the darkness with his rifle across his lap, listening to the jungle breathe. At 10:30, everything changed. The jungle went quiet. Completely quiet. The insects stopped chirping. The night birds stopped calling. It was like someone had turned off a switch. Marcus felt his heart start to pound. He looked around. Other soldiers on watch were tensing up. They felt it too. Then came the whistle, high-pitched and sharp, cutting through the silence. It came from somewhere in the darkness beyond the perimeter. Marcus did not know what it meant, but his body knew. Every muscle went tight. His hands gripped his rifle. The whistle came again. Closer this time. Captain Brewster was moving through the perimeter, waking soldiers, getting everyone ready. His voice was calm but urgent. The first soldier Marcus reached was Corporal James Mitchell. Half of Mitchell's face was covered in blood. Shrapnel from the explosion had torn through his cheek and shoulder. He was conscious but going into shock. His eyes were wide and unfocused. His hands clutched at Marcus's uniform. "Am I going to die?" Mitchell kept asking. "Am I going to die?" "No," Marcus said. He was surprised his voice sounded steady. Inside, everything was shaking. "You are not going to die. Look at me. Look at my eyes. You are going to be fine." He worked fast. Pressure bandage on the face wound. Check the shoulder. The shrapnel had gone deep but missed the major arteries. Marcus packed the wound with gauze and wrapped it tight. Mitchell's breathing was fast and shallow. Shock was setting in. "Stay with me, Mitchell. Keep talking to me. Tell me about home." "Where are you from?" "Ohio," Mitchell gasped. "Cleveland." "Good. What do you do in Cleveland?" "Work at my dad's garage. Fix cars." Marcus gave him morphine for the pain. Not too much, just enough to take the edge off. He needed Mitchell conscious. The bullets kept coming. They hit trees with solid thunks. They cracked through the air overhead. Somewhere close by, someone was firing a machine gun. The sound was deafening. "Okay, Mitchell, I need to move you. Can you walk?" Mitchell nodded. Marcus helped him up and guided him back toward the medical station. Another explosion rocked the jungle. This one was closer. The blast wave knocked Marcus sideways. His ears rang. For a few seconds he could not hear anything except a high-pitched whine. Then the sounds came rushing back. Gunfire, shouting, more screaming. Someone else was hit. The voice was younger, terrified. "Medic! Medic!" Marcus got Mitchell to the medical station and ran toward the new voice. The jungle was lit up with muzzle flashes. Tracers cut through the darkness like angry red lines. He could see figures moving in the shadows. Enemy soldiers. Dozens of them. Maybe more. The young voice belonged to Private Luis Santos. He was 18 years old, fresh out of training. This was his first deployment. Now he was lying in the mud with both legs torn up from a mortar blast. The wounds were bad. Very bad. Bone visible through shredded muscle. Blood soaking into the ground. Santos was screaming. Not words, just pure animal terror. Marcus dropped beside him and went to work. Tourniquet on the right leg above the knee. Pull it tight. Crank the windlass. The blood flow slowed. Second tourniquet on the left leg. Santos kept screaming. "I know it hurts," Marcus said. His hands moved automatically. "Training taking over, I know. But you are going to make it. I promise you are going to make it." He was not sure if that was true. The wounds were severe. Santos needed surgery. He needed a hospital. He needed things Marcus could not give him here in the dark jungle with bullets flying overhead. But he could keep him alive long enough to get help. Maybe. If they could call in helicopters. If the helicopters could land. If the enemy did not overrun their position first. Too many ifs. Marcus gave Santos morphine. A lot of morphine. The screaming faded to moans. He wrapped the legs in pressure bandages over the tourniquets. He started an IV line to replace lost fluids. His hands were covered in blood. He could taste copper in the air. A bullet hit a tree right above his head. Bark exploded. Marcus felt pieces hit his helmet. He did not stop working. Could not stop. Santos needed him. Captain Brewster appeared through the smoke and chaos. His arm was bleeding. Shrapnel had torn through his sleeve. "Rivera! How many wounded?" "3 so far, sir." "Too stable. Santos here is critical." Another explosion, closer. The ground shook. Dirt rained down on them. "We are surrounded," Brewster said. His voice was tight. "Controlled but barely. They have us in an L-shaped ambush. At least 400 enemy combatants. Maybe more." Marcus felt ice in his stomach. 400, against their 280. And they were pinned down, trapped. What about evacuation? Helicopters cannot land. Too much fire. Trees too thick. Brewster looked at his bleeding arm like he just noticed it. "How bad is it?" Marcus examined the wound quickly. "Deep cut, but no major damage. You will live, sir. Let me wrap it." While Marcus bandaged the captain's arm, Staff Sergeant Chen ran past carrying a wounded soldier. Chen's face was grim, focused. He moved like a machine. "Drop the wounded man. Turn around. Run back into the fire to get another one. Medic! Medic!" The cry came from somewhere to the left, beyond a wall of jungle and smoke. Marcus finished with Brewster's arm. "Go," Brewster said. "We need everyone alive who can be kept alive." Marcus grabbed his medical bag and ran toward the voice. He had to jump over fallen logs and dodge between trees. The jungle floor was torn up from explosions. Branches littered everywhere. A soldier lay dead next to a tree. Marcus did not know his name, did not have time to check. He kept moving. The wounded man was Specialist Mike Torres. Torres had been hit in the chest. Not directly. The bullet had hit his ammunition pouch first, and fragments had torn into his upper chest. He was gasping for air. Blood bubbled from the wounds with each breath. Sucking chest wound, air escaping into the chest cavity. The lung was collapsing. Marcus tore open Torres's uniform. 3 entry wounds. He needed to seal them.
Stop the air leak.
He grabbed chest seals from his bag. The special bandages would create an airtight patch. His hands shook as he tore open the packages. Breathe slow, he told Torres. Slow breaths. I am fixing it. Stay with me. He placed the seals over each wound, pressed them down firmly. Torres's breathing eased slightly. Not good yet, but better. Marcus rolled him onto his injured side. Gravity would help the good lung work better. Every little bit helped. Torres grabbed Marcus's arm. His grip was weak. Am I going to make it? Everyone asked that question. Everyone wanted the same answer. Yes, Marcus said. He made himself believe it. Yes, you are going to make it. An enemy machine gun opened up from somewhere close. The sound was different from American weapons. A faster rate of fire. Rounds tore through the foliage. Marcus covered Torres's body with his own. He could feel the impacts hitting nearby. Thud, 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 like someone punching the earth. The machine gun moved on, searching for other targets. Marcus lifted his head. They needed to move. Staying here was death. Can you walk? Torres shook his head. Marcus looked around. He was alone. No one to help carry. He made a decision. He grabbed Torres under the arms and started dragging him backward, toward the medical station. Torres groaned with each movement. Marcus's legs burned. His lungs screamed for air. He kept pulling 30 feet, 40 feet. Every foot felt like a mile. Bullets kept coming. So many bullets. How did the enemy have so much ammunition? The answer came to him. This was their supply area. This was where they stored everything. The Americans had walked right into the middle of it. A mortar round hit 20 yards away. The blast lifted Marcus off his feet. He landed hard. Pain shot through his shoulder. His ears rang again. For a moment he could not remember where he was. Then he saw Torres lying a few feet away. Focus came back. Mission came back. He crawled to Torres. Checked his breathing. Still alive. The chest seals were holding. Marcus got up and started dragging again. By the time he reached the medical station, he was done. Completely spent. He dropped Torres next to the other wounded and collapsed. His body was shutting down. Adrenaline crash hitting hard. Chen appeared above him. The senior medic's uniform was soaked with blood. His face was a mask of concentration. Rivera, get up. More wounded coming. I need a minute. No minutes. Get up. Marcus forced himself to stand. His legs shook. Chen handed him a bottle of water. Marcus drank half of it in one swallow. How many wounded total? Marcus asked. 15 that I know of. Probably more scattered across the perimeter. 15? Marcus felt the number like a weight. 15 men depending on them. Are they all stable? Chen's expression gave him the answer before the words came. 3 are dead. I tried. Could not save them. 3 dead. Marcus looked at the bodies lined up at the edge of the medical station. Covered with ponchos. The first casualties. There would be more. With this much fire coming at them, there would definitely be more. The radio operator, a kid named Jackson, was yelling into his handset, trying to reach command, trying to get support, artillery, airstrikes, helicopters, anything. Radio is going in and out, Jackson shouted. Interference from the canopy. I can get through sometimes, but signal keeps dropping. An officer Marcus did not know appeared. He was bleeding from a head wound, but still moving. Still fighting. Chen, Rivera. We have wounded on the north side. 3 men. Cannot get to them. Too much fire. Chen looked at Marcus. Something passed between them. An understanding. This was what they trained for. This was the job. Show me where, Chen said. They moved through the perimeter. The fighting was intense. American soldiers fired from behind trees and fallen logs. Muzzle flashes everywhere. The smell of gunpowder was so thick it coated the throat. The officer led them to the north edge. There, he pointed, beyond that fallen tree. I saw 3 guys go down. Been trying to reach them for 10 minutes. Marcus could see the tree, maybe 40 yards away. The space between was a killing zone. Bullets chopped through it constantly. Anyone crossing would be exposed. Chen studied the situation. His jaw was tight. We have to try. They will die if we do not. I will go, Marcus said. The words came out before he thought about them. Before fear could stop him. No, I am senior. I go. You are needed here. Marcus made it back across the killing zone with the first wounded soldier. His lungs burned. Every muscle shook from adrenaline and exhaustion. He handed the man off to another medic and turned right back around. The second wounded soldier was still out there, waiting, bleeding. Rivera, wait. It was Lieutenant Cooper, young officer, maybe 25 years old. His face was streaked with dirt and sweat. You have done enough. Let someone else go. Marcus shook his head. I know where he is. I can get him faster. Before Cooper could argue, Marcus was running again. Back into the fire. Back into the nightmare. Bullets buzzed like angry hornets. He zigged and zagged, made himself a harder target. An explosion went off to his right. The blast wave pushed him sideways, but he stayed on his feet, kept moving. He reached the fallen tree and dove over. The second wounded soldier was exactly where he had left him. Conscious, scared, young, maybe 20 years old. What is your name? Marcus asked while checking the shrapnel wounds. Carson. Private Billy Carson. Okay, Billy, I am going to get you out of here, but you have to help me. Can you run? I think so. It hurts, but I can try. Marcus gave him a shot of morphine. Not too much. Carson needed to be able to move. The morphine will kick in fast. When I say go, we run. Do not stop. Do not look back. Just run straight for that medical station. Got it? Carson nodded. His eyes were wide but determined. On 3, 1, 2, 3, go. They ran together. Marcus half-carried Carson when his legs failed. They stumbled through the mud and smoke. A machine gun tracked them. Rounds chopped up the ground behind them. Missing by inches, by luck. By miracle, they fell into the medical station area. Safe, both alive. Marcus lay on his back, gasping for air. The sky above was barely visible through the trees. Smoke drifted across the canopy. Tracers cut bright lines through the darkness. Someone was shaking his shoulder. Rivera, Marcus, get up. It was Sergeant Williams. The veteran who had warned him something was wrong. Williams' face was hard. Set like stone. Chen is dead, Marcus said. The words felt strange in his mouth, unreal. I know. I saw. But we still have living soldiers. They need you. Marcus sat up. His whole body hurt. Everything was bruises and pain. How many wounded now? 23. And we are getting reports of more scattered across the perimeter. Some of them are cut off. Cannot reach them. 23. The number kept growing. Marcus looked at the medical station. Wounded soldiers everywhere, some lying quiet, some groaning. One crying for his mother. The medics who were left moved between them like ghosts, bandaging, injecting, comforting, fighting death one soldier at a time. Marcus stood up. His legs protested but held. Where do you need me? Over the next 2 hours, Marcus lost count of how many wounded he treated. His hands moved on automatic. Tourniquets, pressure bandages, felines, morphine, the steps repeated again and again. His medical bag was running low on supplies. A young private named Eddie Kim had taken shrapnel to the abdomen. The wounds were bad. Marcus could see intestines through the torn flesh. Kim's face was gray, shock setting and deep. His blood pressure was dropping. Am I going to die? Kim asked. His voice was small, like a child's. Marcus had heard that question so many times now. He wanted to scream, wanted to tell them he did not know, that he was just a kid himself, that he did not have all the answers. Instead, he said what he always said. No, I am not going to let that happen. He pushed Kim's intestines back into the abdominal cavity as gently as he could, covered the wound with a special dressing, started fluids running into his veins. Kim needed surgery. Real surgery in a real hospital. Marcus could only keep him alive long enough to get there, if they could get there. Tell me about home, Marcus said while he worked, keeping Kim talking, keeping him conscious. Seattle. I am from Seattle. What do you do there? I work at a coffee shop. Pike Place Market. Kim tried to smile. It came out more like a grimace. Make the best lattes in the city, yeah? I like coffee. You will have to make me one when we get out of here. Deal. Marcus finished with Kim and moved to the next wounded soldier. Then the next. Then the next. Time became meaningless. There was only the work, only the wounded, only the desperate attempt to hold back death. Around midnight, radio operator Jackson got through to command. The news was not good. Helicopters cannot come in, Jackson reported to the officers. Too much anti-aircraft fire. Too dense. They would be shot down. What about artillery? Captain Brewster asked. He was back on his feet despite his wounds, leading, doing his job. Danger close. We are surrounded. They cannot fire without hitting us, so we are on our own. Jackson nodded grimly. Until dawn. Then they will try to get fast movers overhead. Fighter jets. Clear some of the enemy positions. Dawn was 6 hours away. 6 hours might as well be 6 years. Marcus had no idea if they could hold that long. A sergeant Marcus did not know appeared at the medical station. We have wounded on the east side. Maybe 7 soldiers. They are pinned down. Cut off from the main perimeter. 7 soldiers. Isolated the enemy between them and safety. How cut off? An officer asked. Bad, real bad. They have a machine gun position set up right in the middle. No way around it. Anyone trying to reach them will be torn apart. Marcus listened to this and felt something cold settle in his stomach. 7 men alone, bleeding, probably dying, and no one could reach them. He thought about Chen, about the senior medic dying alone in the mud. Had Chen been scared? Had he called for help? Marcus would never know, but he knew one thing. Someone had to try. I will go, Marcus said. Everyone turned to look at him. Rivera, no. Captain Brewster said firmly. It is suicide. That machine gun will kill you before you get halfway. Then those 7 men die. They die alone out there. Better 1 man than 8. Marcus met the captain's eyes. Sir, with respect, I did not become a medic to do math. I became a medic to save lives. Those soldiers need help. I am going. Brewster studied him for a long moment. Finally, he nodded. God help you, son. Marcus stripped down again. Medical bag, sidearm, that was all. He checked his pistol. Full magazine. He had never fired his weapon in combat. Had never shot at another human being. He hoped he would not have to start now, but he loaded a round into the chamber just in case. Sergeant Williams walked with him to the edge of the perimeter. The east side was the worst. The fighting there was constant. Muzzle flashes lit up the darkness like fireflies made of death. You are a brave kid, Williams said. Stupid, but brave. Thanks, I think. That machine gun is about 60 yards out. Soviet-made. Probably dug in behind cover. They will see you coming. They will track you. Your only chance is to be so fast and so random they cannot draw a bead. Marcus nodded. His mouth was dry. Fear sat in his throat like a stone. Williams handed him something. 2 grenades. If you get close to that machine gun nest, use these. Maybe you get lucky. Maybe you take them out. Marcus clipped the grenades to his belt. He looked out into the darkness. Somewhere out there, 7 men were waiting, hoping, praying someone would come. He thought about his mother, about her tamales and her smile. He thought about his sister Maria and her complaints about helping in the kitchen. He thought about his father shouting at the television. Simple things. Normal things. Things he might never see again. Tell my family I love them, Marcus said. If I don't make it back. Tell them yourself, Williams said. Now go, fast and low. Marcus took off running into the darkness. The jungle swallowed him. Behind him, American soldiers opened fire. Covering fire, trying to suppress the enemy. Trying to give him a chance. He ran faster than he had ever run in his life. His boots barely touched the ground. His medical bag slammed against his back. The jungle was chaos. Smoke and noise and death. He jumped over a dead enemy soldier. Dodged around a burning tree. His lungs screamed. Then he saw it. The machine gun nest. Sandbags piled up. 2 enemy soldiers manning the weapon. They were firing at something to the north. They had not seen him yet. Marcus's hand went to the grenades. His fingers fumbled with the clip. This was it. His chance. Maybe his only chance. If he missed, they would cut him down. If he hesitated, those 7 soldiers would die. He pulled the first grenade. Yanked the pin. His throwing arm went back. He thought about playing baseball as a kid. His father teaching him to throw. Shoulder back. Eyes on target. Follow through. The grenade flew through the air. It seemed to move in slow motion. The enemy soldiers saw it coming. Their eyes went wide. They tried to move. Too late, the explosion was massive. The blast wave knocked Marcus flat. Fire and smoke filled the air. The machine gun went silent. Marcus got up and ran, past the destroyed nest, past the bodies. He did not look, could not look. There was no time for guilt. No time for anything except the mission. He found the 7 soldiers 50 yards beyond the machine gun position. They were clustered in a small depression, using it for cover. 3 were wounded. 2 seriously. The others were defending them, firing their rifles at shadows. "Medic," one of them shouted when he saw Marcus. "Thank God, we thought no one was coming." Marcus went to work immediately. The first wounded soldier had a sucking chest wound, same as Torres earlier. Marcus applied a chest seal. The second had lost most of his left hand to a grenade. The hand was gone. Nothing Marcus could do about that. He applied a tourniquet above the wrist, stopped the bleeding. Marcus woke up in a hospital bed. White walls, clean sheets, the smell of antiseptic instead of blood and gunpowder. For a moment he did not know where he was. His mind was still in the jungle, still hearing the gunfire, still seeing the wounded faces. "Easy there, soldier." A nurse appeared beside his bed. She was older. Kind eyes, American. "You are safe. You are in Germany. At the field hospital, Germany." The word did not make sense at first. How did he get to Germany? The last thing he remembered was the helicopter, the jungle falling away. "How long have I been here?" 3 days. "You had a concussion from one of those explosions, plus the shrapnel wound in your leg. Dehydration, exhaustion, your body just shut down." 3 days. Marcus tried to sit up. Pain shot through his leg. The nurse gently pushed him back down. "Not yet. You need rest," the others. The wounded. "Are they okay?" The nurse's expression changed, became more careful. "Most of them made it. You saved a lot of lives out there. Most. Not all." Marcus closed his eyes. He could see their faces. Every soldier he had treated. Every wound he had bandaged. Every hand he had held. "How many?" he asked quietly. "How many died?" The nurse hesitated. "Maybe you should rest first. Talk to someone later. Please, I need to know." She pulled up a chair and sat down. "Out of the 280 soldiers in your 3 companies, 47 were wounded. 9 were killed in action. 9. The number felt both too big and too small. 9 good men. 9 families that would get the worst news possible. But it could have been so much worse. Should have been worse. 400 enemy soldiers against 280 Americans. Surrounded. In the dark. They are saying you saved at least 20 lives," the nurse continued. "Maybe more." The doctors reviewed the medical reports. They said without your actions, the death count would have been over 30. Marcus did not feel like a hero. He felt hollow, empty. He remembered every face of every soldier who died. Corporal, whose name he never learned, Staff Sergeant Chen, Lieutenant Harrison, 6 others. Their faces would stay with him forever. "When can I leave?" "The doctor wants to keep you another week. Then you will go to a recovery facility. After that, they will decide if you return to duty or go home." Home. The word felt strange. Foreign. Like something from another life. Did home even exist anymore? Could he go back to tamales and Sunday soccer games after this? Could he be that person again? Over the next few days, soldiers from his unit came to visit. They brought news from the jungle. The enemy had been pushed back. The valley was secured. The mission was technically a success, but it did not feel like success to anyone who had been there that night. Sergeant Williams came on the 4th day. He looked older than Marcus remembered. Worn down. He sat in the chair next to the bed and did not say anything for a long time. "You did good, kid," Williams finally said. "I did not do enough. No one ever does enough. That is the thing about war. There is never enough. Never enough time, never enough supplies, never enough hands to hold all the broken pieces together. But you did more than most. You ran into fire when others would have frozen. That counts for something." Marcus wanted to believe that, wanted to feel like it mattered. But all he could think about was the weight. The terrible weight of responsibility, of being the person who decided who lived and who died, of being the one who had to look into terrified eyes and promise everything would be okay, when sometimes it would not be okay. When sometimes the only thing you could do was hold their hand while they slipped away. "Chen," Marcus said. "He was a good medic. Better than me, he was, and he would be proud of you. You carried on when he fell. That is what he would have wanted. I found him. In the jungle. He was already gone. Williams nodded slowly. I heard. That must have been hard. Hard did not begin to describe it. Finding Chen dead, knowing the senior medic who had taught him everything was gone. That he was alone. That all those wounded soldiers were depending on him and only him. Did you know he had a family? Williams asked. Wife, 2 kids. Little girls. Marcus felt something crack in his chest. He had not known. Chen never talked about his family much. He was private that way. Professional. Now those little girls would grow up without their father. I should have been faster, Marcus said. Should have gotten to him sooner. You cannot think like that. Chen knew the risks, we all do. He died doing his job, saving lives. There is honor in that. Honor. Maybe. But honor did not fill the hole left behind, did not bring back the dead, did not erase the nightmares that came every time Marcus closed his eyes. On the 5th day, Captain Brewster visited. His arm was in a sling, but he was mobile. Alert. He pulled up the chair and looked at Marcus for a long moment before speaking. The Army is putting you in for a Distinguished Service Cross, Brewster said, for extraordinary heroism. What you did out there, running through fire, saving those men, taking out that machine gun nest. It was above and beyond, a medal. They wanted to give him a medal. Marcus did not know what to say. I was just doing my job, sir. Your job was to provide medical care, not to assault enemy positions alone, not to make 11 separate trips through a kill zone. You went beyond your job, Rivera. Way beyond 11 trips. Marcus had not counted, had not thought about it in numbers. He had just moved from one wounded soldier to the next, one crisis to the next, surviving moment by moment. I do not want a medal, sir. I know. The ones who deserve them never do. But you're getting it anyway. You earned it. The men you saved will never forget what you did. After Brewster left, Marcus lay in bed staring at the ceiling. A medal. A piece of metal on a ribbon. What did it mean? Would it bring back the dead? Would it stop the nightmares? Would it make the weight any lighter? He thought about the enemy soldier. The young one he had found in the jungle. Gutshot and dying. Marcus had stopped to help him. Given him morphine. Bandaged his wounds. It was only 30 seconds. Maybe a minute, but in combat, seconds mattered. That minute might have been the difference between reaching someone else in time or being too late. Had he made the right choice? His oath said treat everyone, do no harm. But that soldier was the enemy. His people had killed Chen, had killed 9 American soldiers, had wounded 47 more. Did he deserve mercy? Marcus did not know. Did not have answers. Only questions that kept him awake at night. A chaplain came to visit on the 6th day. Major Phillips. He was maybe 50 years old. Gray hair, calm demeanor. He sat down and asked Marcus how he was feeling. Okay, I guess. That is not what the nurses tell me. They say you barely eat. Do not sleep well, nightmares. Marcus did not respond. What was there to say? Of course he had nightmares. Of course he could not sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he was back in the jungle. Back in the killing zone. Back holding dying hands and making promises he could not keep. Talk to me, son, Philip said gently. What is weighing on you? Everything. The weight of everything. But Marcus picked one thing, one moment that haunted him more than the others. There was an enemy soldier, he said quietly. Young kid, maybe 16, dying. I stopped to help him, gave him morphine, tried to stabilize him. It was maybe 60 seconds, but 60 seconds in combat. That is a lifetime. And I keep thinking, what if I had kept moving? What if I had used that minute to reach one of our guys faster? What if that minute was the difference? Phillips listened without interrupting. When Marcus finished, the chaplain leaned back in his chair. Did the enemy soldier live? I do not know. I left him there. Had to keep moving. But you tried to help him. Yes, why? Marcus thought about that. Why had he stopped? It went against logic. Against military sense. The enemy was trying to kill them. Every second mattered, but he had stopped anyway. Because he was a kid, Marcus said finally. Scared, dying alone. I could not just leave him like that. My oath says do no harm. It does not say do no harm only to Americans, Phillips nodded. Do you know what I think? I think you made the right choice. In that moment, you chose humanity over hate, compassion over revenge. That took more courage than running through fire. Because running through fire, your body does that on instinct, on training. But stopping to help someone who was trying to kill you hours before, that is a choice. A conscious choice to be better than the war wants you to be. Marcus felt tears on his face. He had not cried since the jungle, had not let himself feel anything except the mission, the work. Now it all came flooding out, all the fear and pain and loss and weight. I could not save them all, he whispered. I tried, but I could not save them all. No one could have. You are not God, Marcus. You are just a man. A good man who did everything humanly possible. The soldiers who lived, they owe you their lives. The soldiers who died, they died knowing someone cared enough to try. That matters. It all matters. After the chaplain left, Marcus slept. Really slept. For the first time in days. The nightmares still came, but they were quieter. Less sharp. The weight was still there, but maybe, just maybe, it was a little bit lighter. On the 7th day, soldiers Marcus had saved started visiting. Private Carson with the shrapnel wounds. He was healing well. Heading home in a week. Corporal Mitchell with the face injuries. He would need surgery, but he would be okay. Specialist Torres with the sucking chest wound. Up and walking, smiling, alive. They did not say much. Just came by. 8 years later, Marcus Rivera stood in the emergency room at UCLA Medical Center wearing blue scrubs and a white coat. Dr. Marcus Rivera now. The dream he had carried into the Army had finally come true. But the path to get here had been longer and harder than he ever imagined. The emergency room was busy that night. Friday nights always were. A steady stream of patients. Car accidents, heart attacks, broken bones, overdoses, each one a crisis, each one needing help. Marcus moved between them with practiced efficiency. His hands steady, his mind clear, focused. A young man came in with a stab wound to the chest. 20 years old. Gang violence. His friends had dropped him at the door and run. Now he was on Marcus's table, bleeding, gasping for air, eyes wide with fear. Am I going to die? The young man asked. Marcus had heard that question 1,000 times. In the jungle, in medical school, in the emergency room, and he still gave the same answer. No, I am not going to let that happen. He worked quickly. Chest tube to drain the blood from the lung cavity, IV lines for fluids, pressure on the wound. The same steps he had learned in the Army, the same procedures he had done in the mud under fire. Now he did them under fluorescent lights with nurses helping instead of bullets flying. The young man stabilized. Marcus sent him to surgery. Another life saved, another person who got to go home. The work continued. During his break at 2 a.m, Marcus sat in the staff lounge drinking bad coffee. The television was on. News about another war, another conflict. More soldiers in desert camouflage looking tired and scared. Marcus watched for a moment, then turned away. He did not need the television to remember. The memories were always there. Just below the surface. He pulled out his phone and looked at the pictures. His family. His mother was older now, gray hair, but still making the best tamales in the neighborhood. His sister Maria had 2 kids of her own. His father still watched soccer and shouted at the television. They had helped him through the hard years after he came home. The nightmares, the therapy, the slow process of learning to be a person again instead of just a soldier. There were other pictures too. Danny Hayes at his wedding. Marcus had been there like he promised. Danny and Sarah had 3 kids now, lived in Ohio. Danny owned his own auto repair shop. He still limped a little from the shrapnel wounds. But he was alive, happy, building a life. Private Carson sent Christmas cards every year. He had become a teacher. High school history. He told Marcus once that surviving the jungle had taught him what was important. Family, purpose, making a difference. Now he taught kids about history, so they could learn from the past. Specialist Torres was a firefighter in California, running into burning buildings to save people. Marcus was not surprised. Torres had always been brave. The sucking chest wound had healed but left scars. Torres said the scars reminded him that life was precious, that every day was a gift. Not everyone had done well. Some of the soldiers struggled, PTSD, depression, addiction, the invisible wounds of war. Marcus tried to stay in touch with as many as he could. Offering help. Being present. It was another way of continuing the mission. Of keeping people alive. Sergeant Williams had retired from the Army. He called Marcus every few months. They talked about nothing important, weather, sports, life, but the real message was always the same. We survived. We are still here. We carry on. Captain Brewster had made colonel. He sent Marcus a letter when Marcus graduated from medical school. It was short, simple. Chen would be proud. I am proud. Keep saving lives, Doc. Marcus kept that letter in his desk drawer. On hard days, he would take it out and read it. A reminder of where he came from, of what he had survived, of the weight he carried and chose to keep carrying. The Distinguished Service Cross sat in a box at home. Marcus did not display it, did not show it off. Sometimes months would go by without him thinking about it. The medal was not what mattered. The lives mattered. The soldiers who went home. The families who did not have to bury their sons and daughters and brothers and fathers. A nurse came into the lounge. Dr. Rivera, we have an incoming trauma. Multiple vehicle accident. 3 patients. Marcus stood up, threw away his coffee, put on his professional face. The face that said he was in control. That everything would be okay. The same face he had worn in the jungle all those years ago. The 3 patients arrived within minutes of each other. A woman with internal bleeding. A teenage girl with a broken leg and possible spinal injury. An elderly man in cardiac arrest. The emergency room erupted into controlled chaos. Doctors and nurses moving like a choreographed dance. Everyone knowing their role. Everyone working together. Marcus took the woman with internal bleeding. She was maybe 40 years old. Mother of 3 according to the ID in her wallet. Unconscious, blood pressure dropping. She needed surgery immediately. He worked with the same focus he had learned in combat. Same steady hands. Same refusal to accept defeat. The woman stabilized enough to move to the operating room. She would make it. Probably. The surgeons would finish what Marcus started. By the time dawn came, all 3 accident victims were stable. The woman was in surgery. The teenage girl was being prepped for x-rays. The elderly man had been revived and was on his way to the cardiac unit. 3 lives pulled back from the edge. 3 families who would get to keep their loved ones. At least for now. At least for today. Marcus finished his shift at 7 in the morning. He was exhausted. 12 hours of constant work. But it was a good tired. The tired that came from making a difference. From doing what he was meant to do. On his way out, he stopped by the Veterans Hospital next door. He did this once a week. Visited soldiers from his old unit who were still dealing with injuries. Physical and mental. It was important to Marcus that they knew someone remembered. Someone cared. Private Eddie Kim was there. Kim with the abdominal wounds from the jungle. He had survived multiple surgeries, but the damage was extensive. Chronic pain. Digestive problems. Medical discharge from the Army. Kim was only 26 years old but looked older, worn down by constant pain. "Hey, Doc," Kim said when Marcus walked in. He always smiled when he saw Marcus. "Still saving lives?" "Every day. How are you feeling?" Kim shrugged. "Same as always. Pain is manageable today. Better than yesterday." "That is a win." They talked for a while, about nothing important, coffee, weather, sports. But the real message was the same as always. You are not alone. I remember. What happened matters. When Marcus left the hospital, the sun was fully up. Los Angeles was waking up, cars filling the streets, people heading to work, living their normal lives. They did not know about the jungle. Did not know about the night 280 soldiers fought 400 enemy combatants and survived. Did not know about the medic who ran through fire 11 times to keep his brothers alive, and that was okay. Marcus did not need recognition. Did not need people to know his story. The soldiers he saved knew. Their families knew. That was enough. He drove home to his small apartment. It was not much. 1 bedroom, tiny kitchen, but it was his. A place of peace after years of chaos. Pictures on the walls, books on shelves. A life slowly built piece by piece. On his keychain hung a dog tag. Staff Sergeant Chen. Marcus carried it everywhere. A reminder of the senior medic who taught him everything. Who died in the jungle doing his job. Chen's daughters were teenagers now. Marcus had met them once at a memorial service. He told them their father was a hero, that he died saving lives, that Marcus would spend the rest of his career honoring Chen's memory by continuing the work. Marcus made coffee and sat by the window. He thought about the path that brought him here, From Texas to the army, to the jungle, to medical school, to this moment. So many twists and turns. So much pain and loss, but also growth, strength, purpose. The nightmares still came sometimes. He would wake up in the darkness hearing gunfire, seeing faces, feeling the weight of wounded soldiers in his arms. But therapy had helped. Time had helped. And the work helped most of all. Every life he saved in the emergency room was a small victory over the darkness. A proof that something good came from the horror. His phone buzzed. A text from Danny Hayes. A picture of his kids playing in the yard. The message said, "Thank you for everything, Doc. These moments exist because of you." Marcus stared at the picture for a long time. 3 kids laughing and playing. Growing up with their father. Building memories. Living lives that almost did not happen. If Marcus had not run through fire that night, if he had not applied those tourniquets, if he had chosen safety over duty, but he had not chosen safety. He had chosen to carry the weight, to be the person who ran toward suffering instead of away from it, and that choice had rippled forward through time. Creating these moments, these lives, these futures, was it worth it? The nightmares, the trauma, the weight he would carry forever. Marcus thought about that question often, and the answer was always the same. Yes. 1,000 times yes. Because those kids playing in Danny's yard existed. Because Private Carson was teaching history to a new generation. Because Specialist Torres was pulling people from burning buildings. Because the woman from tonight's car accident would wake up and see her 3 children again. Because every life saved mattered. Every single one. Marcus finished his coffee and went to sleep. He dreamed of the jungle like he often did. But this time it was different.